Welcome back, Sideline Sources family. I'm Wenzell Ortiz. If you're new to the channel, drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I know that we've been dormant on this channel for a minute, but we're about to get active for real, so show some love. So I want to welcome my guest, 2019 NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors, Jodie Meeks. What are you saying, fam? How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. I'm doing well.
Okay. So, let's get straight into it. I kind of want to start in the present, really get a gauge of what you've been doing recently, what you've been up to, and things like that. So I know that you've been hooping for the Raptors 905 in the NBA G League just a couple months ago. Just talk to me about playing in that environment compared to the NBA and what you've garnered from that experience.
I really enjoyed it. Wasn't quite sure what to expect. There's a lot of young guys, so obviously I'm getting a little older, but I had a good time, man. It was nice to, share my knowledge. And those guys worked really hard, so I was glad to be able to get in the trenches with them. It brought back the love of the game for me, just, high school, college, trying to make it, to the league. So those guys are young, still trying to make it, and I want all of them to make it one day. But, the reality is only a few do. But
yeah,
enjoy playing with them, enjoy sharing my knowledge. And, I think it rubbed off a little bit to what it took to make it, have a successful career in the league.
Yeah, so I want to touch on that in a second. But first off, was this your first stint in the G League? Because I know a lot of rookies, when they're young, regardless of where you're drafted, you'll spend some time in between the programs. So was this your first stint in the G League?
It was. Thankfully, I never had to go when I was younger. Back then, it was called D-League, actually.
Yeah.
But it's gotten a lot better. I know I've had former teammates go and they leave at the beginning of the year and then you don't see them in the playoffs. Now it's two ways. You have guys on assignment, and a lot of the not all, but a lot of the teams have their teams, right next to each other, 20, 30 miles away. So, or, the next day, I know Philly's in Delaware, so it's close. So it's gotten a lot better since my younger days, when I was 20 years old. So it was my first experience there, but I enjoyed it.
When you think about the G League, ostensibly, it's pretty much made up of mostly younger guys, like you touched on. These are guys who are trying to make it to the NBA, who would love to have a career like a Jodie Meeks. So, you touched on how you're kind of the older statesman amongst the group. What kind of advice did you give these young thoroughbreds, when it came to making the NBA, when it came to being a professional? Because I'm sure you ask anyone across the league about Jodie Meeks, they'll tell you that he's a pro's pro.
I think it just depends on the person. I know when I came in the league, I had a lot of good mentorship from older veterans. Elton Brand, Michael Redd, Andre Iguodala, those are some of my vets. And so the biggest advice I gave to those guys this year was just to have a routine, whether that's how you eat diet-wise, how you sleep, what time you get to the gym. Just have some type of routine because, that'll take you a long way. It might not work the first 4 or 5 days, but over the course of the year, getting to the gym an hour early, getting up a couple hundred shots a day before practice.
Yeah.
Practice starts, you're all ready to go. Stretch, get ice, get taped, get some treatment, whatever you have to do for your body. But, take care of your body because a lot of guys, when they're younger, don't take advantage of that. I know I was one of the people that didn't take advantage of that when I was younger. Then
really?
when I started to get older, 26, 27, you start to realize that, take eating right, treatment, getting the right sleep, that all takes into account of how you perform.
So that's interesting. You touched on something I actually wouldn't have thought of. You said when you were younger, you were actually one of the guys who didn't, always have the best, didn't have always the best habits. So what were some of those habits that you kind of fell into that trap and, you want to warn future players, future prospects about entering the league?
Yeah, when you're younger, coming from college, or if you didn't go to college, coming from high school, you eat McDonald's game, or five guys going to sleep at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning playing video games. I was never a guy that liked to, drink and smoke a lot or anything like that. Just your eating habits change to better quality food, steak, chicken, shrimp, no fried foods, smoothie, get some protein shakes, stuff like that. So just a different way of eating, but cleaner, and it'll help your conditioning, help you not be as sore the next day, and then ultimately play longer. I think everybody wants that, but not quite sure when you're younger, some guys, of how to do it. So sometimes you need veterans to try to, steer you in the right direction. I know I did. So I wanted to get.
When we talked about G League, all this grinding, all this time that you are putting in the G League, it's ultimately for a return to the NBA. So when we think about your game, it's never been predicated on athleticism. You're not the type of dude drive down the lane, and try to baptize someone. That's not who you are.
College, but I had to change it to a floater.
Oh yeah. No, I'm talking about more like modern time. But in college, I know you're a hooper in college. I know you dropped 54 in in Kentucky. But I mean, something that you always have been and you still are is one of the preeminent shooters in the association. You're still a stout defensive presence. So I mean, I know, at least I believe, that you still got juice in the tank. Tell the people at home why a team should sign you and what you can offer at the age of 34.
Yeah, I mean, I think just professionalism. I'm battle tested. Obviously, my ace card is shooting. I've always, but I bring a lot of other things to the table. Just a good locker room presence, and somebody that can mentor younger players and just say, "Hey, this is what you need to do to career." And so when you have that in the locker room, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player, those guys are valuable. And so I know when I was younger, I always looked up to guys like that because they did things the right way.
When we look at today's NBA, we really are entrenched in the three-point era. The game of basketball is imbued with these positionless offensive schemes, and defense has almost become an afterthought. Albeit less so this season, but you know what I'm saying. So if you were coming up in today's NBA with the advent of the three-point era upon us, how good would you have been?
I think I would have been a lottery pick for sure. Just, social media and how big that is. So if a guy has 20 points in high school, if he has 4 or 5 dunks, it's like you had 40 points.
Exactly.
So back when I was coming out of high school, we had what was called Rivals.com. And, I think Street Smith magazine. You might not even know about that. So that's that's the top players. I was I was like the number 3 shooting guard coming out of high school, and so above me was Wayne Ellington and Gerald Henderson. So to see those rivals, it was like a 15-second clip. And, well, when I see them in an AAU tournament, I want to play against. I want to play against the best. Now you got YouTube, you got Twitter, you got Instagram, you got all those things to where it makes you look, a lot better. Now, a lot of guys are legit, but some guys look better on clips. And so I think if that was me back in the day, it definitely would have helped out a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree. I mean, I think your game is kind of tailor-made for today's basketball environment. Your shooting prowess, your ability to strap up on defense. When you do look across the landscape of today's NBA, do you see any players that you feel that you really could have mimicked if you were coming up? Let's say you were being drafted in June. You feel like these guys are guys that you would mimic?
I'm not sure about that, but I know growing up and coming out of college, I mimicked my Ray Allen, Rip Hamilton, Reggie Miller. Those guys played a lot with a movement. They moved a lot. So coming up, pin downs, transition, you got to find them. Kyle Korver is another example of how he just never stopped moving, always in motion, going back door. And so I think I predicated my game after those guys because I knew that would give me the best opportunity for myself to be successful.
So I want to shift gears now and talk about some of your former teams and actually get your thoughts on some of them. So we're a Toronto-based company, as you know, Sideline Sources. So I'd be remiss if we can start with your tenure with the Toronto Raptors. You were a part of the 2019 championship squad, so you were actually able to forge relationships with some of the team's current mainstays. What can you say about the growth and development of guys like Fred VanVleet, an all-star this past season, Pascal Siakam, who's morphed into this all-NBA caliber player. Even OG Anunoby, who's emerged as one of the league's premier 3-and-D guys. What can you say about the growth and development of some of these guys?
Yeah, I know all those guys were not when I think it was probably my 7th year when Freddie came in. Pascal was young, so just to see the development of all those guys using the G League, right, to and get reps in, and to use that as to get ready to be in the league. So I remember all those guys had a big part in our championship run. Fred played well, Pascal played well. Pascal was arguably, the Finals MVP, the first 3 games. So he played well. Freddie played really well down the stretch of Game 6. Hit some big shots. OG, unfortunately, was hurt, but he is there, right? So now he's playing well, and I'm happy for all 3 of those guys. And I remember when I was there, I was getting older. I think that was my last year in the league. So, they were advice of how to, like we talked about, stay in. What's your, what was it like playing with Kobe, all those type of things. So it's nice to rub off on guys, especially when they're good guys.
Speaking with Pascal for a second, his jump from role player to all-NBA caliber player was pretty surreal. I mean, DeMar DeRozan, Raptors legend, when he was asked about it, he said he actually wasn't surprised because he witnessed firsthand the kind of work that Pascal put in and day out, and that it portended greatness. So I want to ask you now, did you see this ascension to stardom coming for Pascal?
Well, it's hard to say that you saw it coming, this much, but you saw the talent and you saw the potential. You knew he had a lot of good talent. He has great size for a big man that's, 6'8", 6'9". Great touch. A lot of guys that are, that tall aren't as coordinated dribbling the ball, making the high. So I wasn't surprised, but I can't say that I saw it this much of a jump coming, so, but I'm definitely happy for him. He's, he's an all-star. He's a champion. So when I see him out there, I'm always rooting for him.
Keeping with this 2019 squad for one more second, what was different about that team compared to every other team that you played for in your career?
I think everybody was locked in. During the course of a season, you always have ups and downs, clearly. Just like a family. People have ups and downs, but when it was time to work, when it was time to play, everybody was locked in. The coaching staff did a great job of making adjustments. And when we did, whether it was halftime or whether it was after a loss in a series, everybody just turned that switch and was locked in. Say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to end. Steph Curry is Clay. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. Series before that with Giannis, we all had to kind of lock into the lane so he couldn't get, dunks from the free throw line, basically. So we had to make adjustments on the fly, but everybody was locked in. And now I think that was the key difference because every team's not like that.
Yeah, you guys were definitely, at least you're lauded as being kind of the first team to really build that wall for Giannis in the Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It was tough. He's a great player.
I want to touch on some more recent, kind of Raptors news quickly. Obviously, they recently lost in 6 games to the Philadelphia 76ers. A talented Sixers squad, led by Joel Embiid, MVP runner-up and whatnot. Just, crudely speaking, what are your thoughts and takeaways from that series, specifically focusing on the Raptors side of things?
I think they had some they competed well, but they had some injuries. OG was injured. Freddie got hurt in the middle of the series. Yeah, so we know when some of your best players are out, it's hard to win. So guys, stepped up and played well, but it's hard. So I'll be looking forward to seeing what they do this coming season.
So we will receive this iteration of the Raptors in the first postseason run. Do you believe that the young core of Freddie, Pascal, OG, Rookie of the Year Scotty Barnes can win a championship in the future?
I think they can. I think they need to add, a few more pieces. But, their core is really good. I think Scotty Barnes is really good, better than I saw him in college with Florida State. But, he's really good. So I think his game's kind of similar to Pascal, honestly. Yeah. So I think those two can really be good together along with, OG and Freddie. So I think they need a couple more pieces, but I think, Masai is really good at that, and the whole front office at seeing what they need and scouting.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually questioned the Scotty Barnes draft pick. They thought maybe they should have taken Jalen Suggs, or he was too similar to Pascal, like you said, or even OG Anunoby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, clearly they did a great job, and they know that he can play along with Pascal, so it's good. It's a good pick.
Yes. So I want to move on now and talk about the Sixers. This is probably the team that most people associate you with. I mean, it's a couple others as well, but you played 3 great seasons there. You have some of your best career moments in that uniform. So before we touch on, some more recent Sixers topics, one thing I want to focus on in particular is in 2012, I believe you remember that team that actually upset the number 1 seeded Bulls in the first round. Of course, Derrick Rose, unfortunately, tore his ACL in that game, but nonetheless, people still favor the Bulls to win that series. Just kind of take me through what you remember about winning that series. And I believe you pushed, the Celtics in the second round, 2-7 games. So talk to me about what you remember about that playoff run.
Well, first off, I wish they wouldn't have broken our team up in Philly because we had a really good team. I think we 324. So, but I do remember game 1. They blew us out, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
They blew us out. So we were down like 25-20, something like that, with 2 or 3 minutes left, and that's when Derrick Rose messed his knee up, and it was kind of like a silence across the whole United Centers. I was, you never want to see anybody get hurt, no matter if you're going against them or whatever. So that was a tough blow. But as an opposing team, you want to just say, hey, unfortunately that happened, but we want to take advantage of opportunity. So they were still a tough team to beat, without them. So we pushed through and got that series. And then when we played Boston, they had beaten us, I want to say, like every time that series. So that season, during the regular season. But we were confident. We were a young team. We knew we had to play fast, so they couldn't set up their defense. But I just remember it being a battle every single game. But it came down to, in game 7, I think we were up 4.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 minutes left, and we were all looking at the scoreboard like, oh, man, we might have go to the finals. And we just couldn't get over the hump. We couldn't execute, and they could. And that came from, championship DNA, and at the time we didn't have it.
So you mentioned something before you started, speaking on it, how you wish they didn't break up that squad. You had a lot of talent. You had young players on that team as well. So how good do you think the team would have been if you kept that core together moving forward? Maybe, like you said, similar to Raptors, added a few more pieces.
Yeah, I think we would have been top 3 in the East because we were better at the time than Indiana. And they battled Miami.
Exactly, yeah.
Finals. So I think we would have been just as good or better than Indiana. And so, they would have had to pay some guys like myself, Pat Young, Lou Will, Drew Holiday. So it would have been tough to pay everybody. I understand that. But, who's to say some people wouldn't have taken less just to keep the team? You just never know. But to break it up was disappointing for me because, that was my first opportunity to start and get a real taste of the league. So I thought I was going to be there for a long time, but that's just the business of basketball. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think that is a really underrated kind of what if story of the 2010s because a lot of people kind of brush over the fact that you guys were an 8-seeded team that upset a number 1 seeded. Of course, everyone knows about the injury, which is well documented and very unfortunate, but you guys still did it. You guys were still underdogs in that series when D Rose went down. So I do agree with you. It would have been interesting to see if you guys kept that squad together.
Yeah, and the year before that, we lost in the first round. We lost in 5 games to Miami, but every game besides, I'm going to say like 1. Every game was close. And so we competed well every single series. We just couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah, it would have been fun to actually see you guys play Miami in the conference finals in 2012 too. If you guys.
I think it would have been tough. Ultimately they had the better team, obviously. But I think we would have given them a good run.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you guys definitely would have given them a good run based on what you did against Boston too, and they went 7 games in Miami. So you never know.
Yeah, you're right.
So touching on some more recent Sixers, 'cause I'm sure you do keep up with them. You have close ties with that franchise. You would actually know better than most the kind of pressure that comes along with playing for Philadelphia in front of that fan base. Just in this playoffs alone, you see them booing their own team early on in games if they get off the slow starts. So when we talk about James Harden in this moment, I mean, this dude he's one of the most prolific scorers the game has ever seen. And, he's almost struggling to score 20 points in this playoffs. Now, if you ask me, I believe that he'll be back to normal next season. He has this off season, ramp up his workout regimen, things of that nature. That's neither here nor there. If he continues to produce at this rate, and let's say they fall short or he suffers a collapse, do you think he'll receive vitriol and hate from Philadelphia fans?
It's hard to tell. I mean, Philly fans are really passionate. So unless you win, a lot of times fans won't be happy.
Yeah.
But you can't play. You can't play for that. You got to play for your teammates. You got to play for your family. Those things come first. And so, as long as you're giving maximum effort, you can't really worry about that. I think James is a great player. Clearly, he'll be first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I think maybe he's a little injured. Maybe he's trying to, see what's going on with his teammates. He's at the point guard again. But I still think it's in there. I still think he can average 30 when he wants to. He's just trying to get everybody involved. But I mean, the series is 2-2 now. So if they win, winning solves everything. So, I mean, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I don't think he's washed or he's over the hill. I think he can still drop 30. He's still one of the best scorers in this league and that the game has ever seen. So with this Sixers squad, barring any significant move, they have their team, they have their core moving forward. Do you believe that the tandem of Harden and Embiid can deliver a championship to the city of brotherly love?
I think it's possible. I think Joel Embiid is the best center in the world. So just have to stay healthy. I think they have a team to do it. James obviously knows he wants to play, a little bit better, but
yeah,
I think they can do it. But there's still time. I think who would they play? The winner of Boston, Milwaukee, right? After this,
yeah.
So I think that would probably be a better matchup for him. Anyway, Miami, because Miami is such a good defensive team, and they scheme well, and they double, and they triple, and they rotate so well. So if they can get past this series, you just never know.
So you actually said something pretty interesting there. You said Embiid is the best center in the world. So do you believe that he should have won MVP? Because, recently came out that Jokic was named, now back-to-back MVP. Do you believe that Embiid should have won the award?
I mean, Jokic is great too. You can't. LeBron didn't win it every year when he was in his super prime. So sometimes the best player, the best center, the best shooting guard, they don't win it all the time. I think Jokic is very deserving. You know what I mean? But I think Embiid, when push comes to shove, is the best center.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't you really go wrong. Oh no, yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone's got entitled to their own opinion, and I don't think you can really go wrong with any of the MVPs or either the two big men right now either. So again, Philly's locked up with Miami 2-2. Boston, Milwaukee, I believe, are also knotted at 2. Who is your pick to represent the East in the NBA Finals?
It's hard to go against Milwaukee. They're the champs. So until someone knocks them off. I'm gonna have to go with them. Giannis is such a dominant player, and now he has shooting around him. He has defense, so I'm gonna have to go with them. If somebody knocks him off, great, but I can't really go. I can't really go against him.
So who do you have in the West then? What's your NBA Finals matchup?
Beginning of the season, I would have said Phoenix, but there's two. So I think it's gonna be a great Western Conference Finals with the Golden State. Phoenix. I'm assuming, it's tight. It's tight with them. But I think ultimately Phoenix will win. So Golden State and Phoenix is going to be a great series. I would give the edge to Phoenix because they have home court advantage. But you just never know. That's why they play the game. And Steph and Clay are such great shooters, anything can happen.
Okay. Oh, so you got a rematch of last year. You got Milwaukee and Phoenix going at it.
Yeah, my opinion, but I wouldn't be if Golden State wins. I wouldn't be surprised. Either, you know, so
yeah. Is Milwaukee going back to back?
That's tough. That's tough. I don't know. I don't really know that. We'll see how they're playing. You know, 2 or 3 weeks from now. It's hard. It's hard because Middleton will come back. So who knows how that. Will he be the same? You know, because you got to start him, you got to play him. So there's a lot of factors that go into that.
So you were teammates with the late great Kobe Bryant. Talk to me a bit about your experiences with him. You know, not just his work ethic, which is widely extolled as being all time, but even just some of his words of wisdom and how he inspired you.
He was a great teammate for me. When I first got to LA, he took me under his wing, and I worked out a couple times with him. Went to dinner with him a couple times. So, just his aura of just when he enters the room, everybody knows, right? So his leadership, his work ethic, he's somebody that you just look up to. And so being on the same team with him, practicing against him every day, I just learned so much of how to just conduct myself as a pro.
Yeah.
Work hard. I thought I worked hard, but his work is over the, so if you see someone like that working like that, you have to.
So, touching on the Lakers some more, would you be open to reuniting with the Lakers if they were to hit you up? And if so, what would you add to that franchise?
Most definitely, man. I really enjoyed my 2 years with the Lakers. So reuniting would be definitely something that I would be more than happy to do. And I think I could clearly add in shooting, but locker room presence, hard-nosed defender that, plays hard. And, just coming in and giving that extra effort off the bench that, everybody saw that they needed last season. But every team needs, a shooter that can knock down some shots for, their superstars. So I think I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, what the Lakers were missing last season, I think it's fair to say that they had a rigmarole of a season last year. The Russell Westbrook experiment clearly didn't pan out how they would have liked, but they had a slew of other issues as well. You can point to coaching, roster construction, injuries, and the list go on and on. If you had to point to one thing, I know it's difficult, but if you had to point to one thing that kind of went wrong with them last season, what would you say that one thing was?
I think injuries were a big part of it. I don't think it's fair to just blame one thing or one person. In a basketball season, a lot of things happen. 82 games is a long journey. So they had some personnel issues that didn't quite fit the puzzle, but they also had injuries. They also had guys just not playing particularly well. Nobody in particular I won't name. It's not important, but I know that they want to obviously play better, but at the same time just get the most out of their personnel. So hopefully, next year will be a different story because I know the Laker Nation they're very passionate, So that's another reason why I enjoy playing there because the fans are so loyal. So I know they're ready to have another championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. When you talk about their fan base, donning that purple and gold, it really does mean something. It means something extra, regardless of who's on the roster, what year you're playing. What would you say is the most passionate fan base that you played for? You played for a few, Toronto, Philly, Los Angeles. So what would you say was the most passionate fan base that you played for thus far in your career?
Well, Philly fans are very passionate, but they're a little can be on the dark side. But I never had a problem with them because they always respected me playing hard and with a purpose. So I definitely enjoyed playing in Philly, even though it's a tough city to play in if you're not winning. Fortunately, we were winning. The Lakers fans are very passionate, and I had my career year there, so I'll say them. And then clearly Toronto, you have a whole country rooting for you. So I definitely would say them. The most passionate is hard to say.
Mm.
Those three teams were the most passionate I played for. But since I did win the championship in Toronto, I'll give it to them, and the Lakers slightly behind them. But yeah, man, it was great. My career was great.
Yeah, oh yeah. You already know that we appreciate you. We always appreciate the love that you show to the Toronto fans, to all of Canada. I mean, it always means something different, because we're the only non-American franchise in the league. So anytime we get a special type of love, it always hits different. Well, I want to move on now and touch on the Big Three. You spent some time, I believe it was in 2021. You played in the Big Three, spent some time down there. So first off, for those who just don't know, may not have heard of it, what is the Big Three League?
The Big Three League was founded by Ice Cube, and it's a 3-on-3 league. So I love to play basketball, so I'll go play, in my backyard on my court if need be. So I wanted to just have something to do, and also get some good competition in as well. So I decided to play in the Big Three last summer, and it was a great decision for me because I got a chance to see where my game was at after a couple of years of not playing, and playing against guys that were either formerly in the league or still playing overseas or in the G League. So I enjoyed it. It was a lot of good competition. I think the most important thing for me is just the camaraderie. That's the thing that you miss as a former player in the league. So being around your peers, your former teammates, or guys that you came up in the league around, and being around them all summer was a big thing that I missed.
So you've actually spoken in the past about the Big Three and how the physicality was something that you didn't expect. You didn't expect it to be as physical as it was. And that's a sentiment that was espoused by other former players who, hooped in that league. Joe Johnson, Stephen Jackson, they've echoed a similar sentiment. So talk a little bit more about that physicality and just the overall competition level of the Big Three League.
Well, yeah, I definitely didn't expect it to be that as physical, but it makes sense, right? Because it's half court, and guys are, hitting a little bit more in the post, or if you're coming off a down screen, and they might check you a little bit more because there's not as much space. So it's definitely more physical than I thought. It's definitely really competitive, and I enjoyed it though. Physicality doesn't do anything but make me more competitive. So I really enjoyed it. Wish we could have made the playoffs, but this year I'm hoping that it'll be different, and we got myself and Barbosa back for sure, and Will McDonald. So I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to getting started here next month.
Okay, yeah. So I was actually going to ask you. I didn't know that you were planning on hooping in the Big Three again. So talk to me a little bit more about your team that you have come up, the expectations you got, and all that.
Yeah, we Leandro Barbosa is the captain, and myself and Will McDonald are the co-captains. This weekend, actually, May 14th is the combine, so that'll be nice to see. Kind of see, the talent out there, who we want to be on our team, who we're going to draft. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's definitely competitive, and anytime you're playing in something competitive, I know myself, I want to win. So I know last year that we didn't make the playoffs, and we were in every game we played, though. So I think we finished, not quite sure. I think it was 4-4. But I think this year will be different because, we're a little bit more experienced in the 3-on-3 rules and set and mindset. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You talked about how it's only three. It's 3-on-3. You're only playing half court, so players are a lot more compact. There is a lot of physicality. It's obviously wildly entertaining. I mean, there are a bunch of viral clips stemming from that league. Would you want to see something, either 3-on-3 competition or something of that ilk, in the NBA All-Star game, perhaps, spice things up? Their ratings have been up and down for a little while. Would you want to see something similar to that? Do you think that would work in the NBA All-Star game and guys would be into it?
Yeah, I haven't even really thought about that, man. I think it'd be fun to watch. I think more so in the Olympics, it would be cool. I know the women did it this past Olympics, and it was nice to see us bring home the gold in that. But yeah, why not? I think it would be something that would be entertaining, and something that wouldn't be as strenuous on your body. I know it's All-Star weekend, so I'm sure guys would do it. And it would probably be on Saturday, just like the dunk contest and the 3-point shootout, right? So
Yeah.
it would be something that would probably be entertaining, and I know the players would enjoy it too.
So I'm about to put you on the spot real quick. Of all the teammates that you have in your NBA career, and you're playing a 3-on-3, so you only got to pick two. You can pick a big, you can pick a guard, whatever you want to do. If you have to pick two teammates to hoop with you in a 3-on-3 competition, say All-Star Weekend, who would those two dudes be?
Man, I'm gonna have to go with Kobe, R.I.P. He definitely would be with me because I know he's just a beast, right? Everybody knows
that's an
that.
easy one, yeah.
And then I'm gonna go with Andre Iguodala because he's like a jack of all trades, defend, shoot, pass, run the team type of player. So go him, and I can be over there just waiting to get it from them and shoot it.
Damn, no, that's a tough defensive squad for real. You worried about any bigs? You worried about playing against any bigs? You guys kind of small.
Yeah, I mean, you get 5 players, right? So we would be the starters. Bigs, man, I've had so many good big men on my team. Pau Gasol would be one. And then let's go with Andre Drummond because he's just a beast rebounder.
Wow. That was you and on Drummond. That was back in Detroit, right? That's when you were with him?
Yeah, Detroit. He was young too, and he was still killing. So I know he's still capable now. Obviously, he's on the Nets, and they have so many. They have so many good big men that can rebound and do everything. So I know he can still do the same thing though.
Yeah, no, Andre, I mean, he's one of the best rebounders this generation, honestly. I know a lot of people, it's not a very popular thing to say just, because it's Andre Drummond. But no, for real, he's definitely one of the best rebounders of the past decade.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we move on quickly, we were talking a bit about your teammates. Who are some guys that you still keep in touch with to this day? Maybe there are teammates that you made back in your rookie season that, you just never separated from their close friends outside even of the basketball arena. Just who are some teammates that you're still really close with?
Andre Iguodala, that's one. That was my vet when I first came in the league. He just took me under his wing, showed me just the ropes of the NBA, how to eat right, how to take care of your body. And the biggest thing he told me was, have a routine. And that's, I think I said this earlier in the interview, but have a routine of what you're going to do each and every day. Come in, don't just show up if practice is at 11 o'clock. Don't just show up at 10:45. Show up at, 9:30 and get stretched out, get your treatment, maybe grab something to eat, get a minor workout in before practice. So he's the first person to, tell me to stay on the schedule. I was always someone that worked hard, but I didn't know how to, have a strategic mindset of going on with doing that. The other one was Michael Redd, and I got drafted from in Milwaukee. He was a starting shooting guard, and obviously a great shooter and a great player. So I was 20 years old. He kind of took me under his wing and just told me, what it took to stay in for a while.
No, that's all. Every time I get to hear Michael Redd's name, it's great because he's another guy, another really underrated player of that kind of mid-2000, late 2000. I mean, he can drop 50 on you any given night, honestly. Just because he was in a small market, Milwaukee, he may not get the recognition that, that he deserves.
Right. He definitely deserves it, though, I think he was an all-star a couple of times, too.
Yeah, he was. Again, you haven't hung up your kicks just yet. You still got more juice in the tank. But what have you thought about your career, your NBA career thus far, and what do you ultimately want to be remembered as?
Man, I played a long time, 10 seasons. So I feel like I overachieved. I was a second-round pick. I felt like I should have been a first-round pick, but ultimately I was not. And so what do I want to be remembered as? Just somebody that had got the most out of themselves, showed up to work every day, worked hard, didn't cheat the game, always interacted with my teammates as far as how can I get better. I would always ask the veterans when I first got in, how can I get better? What do I need to do? Some would say watch film. Some would say stay in the gym and just work on your craft. So ultimately, when I first came into the league, you know, I just wanted to be respected from my my veterans and my peers. The only way you can really do that is just work hard. So I think that's what I would want to be remembered as. And if I don't play another game in the league, you know, it's okay. You know, I had a pretty good career.
So, I mean, when people are asked, you know, to look back on the past, not just basketball players, but in all walks of life, they'll typically think about or talk about regrets that they've had, or maybe things that they would change if they had the opportunity. If you were to be able to go back in time, is there anything that you would change about your NBA career on or off the court?
I don't think so, man. I don't really live my life that way. I feel like, I know it's cliche to say, but I feel like any type of things that you want to regret, you shouldn't undo them, because you wouldn't learn from them, and you wouldn't be a better basketball player or whatever your profession is. It wouldn't create, you know, a better person that was made from those mistakes. So I don't really have any regrets. I just, you know, everybody wishes that, you know, they could have played longer or got more shots or opportunity in their career. But sometimes that's just how the cards were dealt to you. So I feel like I made the most of my opportunities when I got them, and that's all you can do.
So, I mean, you know, we're talking about your career, all that you've accomplished. You're an NBA champion, obviously. If you had to pick one moment, I know the championship's up there, so maybe let's just put that aside for 1 second, because that's every player's pinnacle. But if you had one favorite career moment, or just one moment that stands out amongst the rest, what would that be in your career?
Man, it's always I'm a scorer, so it's always nice scoring. I can remember a particular game we were playing the Thunder. I was on the Lakers at the time, and we had a lot of guys injured. And I think I had 42 points versus the Thunder. You know, Katie, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka. You know, a really good team. Thabo Sefolosha. Mm-hmm. So we won the game, and I had 42 points, and that was a big moment for me in my career. At the time, it was only like my fourth or fifth season, and so that was my career year. So that was a good moment for me. I was on national TV, so the championship is definitely number one, but that could be number two.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of your greatest moments. It's funny, you know, you see all these former players, even current players, talk about their careers and some of their moments, and they're always asked, as a rookie, as a youngin, who, you know, busted their what the best as a rookie. What was that? What was that kind of welcome to the league youngster moment for you in your rookie campaign?
Let me think. It was probably Ray Allen. So growing up, I kind of patterned my game after him. Rip Hamilton, Reggie Miller, you know, guys that stayed on the move. I think I mentioned this as well earlier, but he was a great player, obviously, and going to be in the first ballot Hall of Famer. And it was just one of those nights where he couldn't miss, and it was nothing I could do. So it was my first year starting in Philly. I think it was my second year in the league. I think he had like 30, but it was an easy 30.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of mad at my teammates for not helping out, you know, on pick and rolls and screens. But sometimes it just has those nights in the NBA. Everybody's so great.
Okay, yeah. So yours, Ray Allen. So yours was actually one of your, maybe not idols, but one of the guys that you shaped your game after. So it was Ray Allen. Yeah.
Okay. And I still was upset because it was it was embarrassing to me. But you know, at least it wasn't someone that wasn't a great player. You know, so I could kind of live with it, but competitively, you don't want it to happen to you.
Yeah. It's funny because you hear a lot of these players when they're young, you know, they got this temerity, got this confidence and swagger about them, and they'll kind of poke the bear. You know, they'll trash talk. You've heard players trash talk Michael Jordan when they're young. Was any of that going on? Were you trying to, you know, trash talk Ray Allen a bit? You know, you're young, you're trying to show him up, or for the most part, it was just you were kind of a laid back dude?
Nah, it was nothing even said. That's what made it so bad. It was he's just a silent assassin, you know. But I don't really talk trash unless somebody's saying something to me, you know. So most of the time I'm just in my own world and trying to help my teammates and team win. I don't need any extra motivation. I control, that monster.
So you were drafted. You drafted 2010, right? You came up in the early 2010s.
2009.
2009. Okay, 2009. So a lot of people talk about a stark difference from the NBA from maybe the mid 2000s, early 2000s to now. The physicality, trash talking, the mid range game. Have you noticed any stark differences from just the early 2000s to where we are now a decade later, or for the most part, has the game kind of plateaued? Aside from the 3-point shooting, has it mostly plateaued? Any differences?
Yeah, I was about to say the 3-point shooting is the crazy thing. When I first came in the league, it was you had a 4-man and you had a 5-man. Everybody had one, so there was not a lot of stretch fours or stretch fives. So the stretch fours were people like Marc Gasol, LaMarcus Aldridge, Marc Gasol, but it wasn't like a lot of big men that were shooting, especially threes. They were shooting mid range. Zach Randolph, people like that. But as I was in the league for years and years, I'd say around 2014, 2015, it started to get like that. A lot of guys shooting threes, like an all-star game. And obviously the kids that were in high school and college came to the league and transpired that, So I think the game's in good hands. I think guys shouldn't shoot as many threes, in my opinion, because mid-range is still important and you can still be effective that way. Look at DeMar DeRozan. He's killing, averaging almost 30, or maybe he is averaging 30, but he doesn't shoot threes that much. So I think you should still take twos, but analytics will disagree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I know for one thing, we can credit Steph Curry for really ushering us into the 3-point era through 2015, like you said, and that's when he burst onto the scene. That's when he won his first MVP. So 2015 definitely the time. You touched on analytics there for a second, so I'm wondering, are you like truly against analytics? Are you embrace it more and more as years go on, or how do you view it? Because Nikola Jokic, recently won MVP, and a lot of people are saying it's solely because he's people are infatuated with his numbers. He's putting up these gaudy numbers that can't be compared. So what is your perception on that?
Yeah, I'm not totally against it. I think it's just a give and take. Nothing should be just like gung-ho one thing. Like I'm not gung-ho against all twos and I'm not gung-ho against all threes. I think you just have to be smart about it. Like if, for example, if Ray Allen shoots 43% from the three ball, right? But analytics will say, well, in the right corner, he only shoots 28%. So it's okay if you let him take that. I'm not letting Ray Allen take any three. And maybe that's a bad example because he's a great shooter, but it can be somebody less of a great shooter that's shooting a really high percentage in the three. But on that particular part of the floor, they'll say, you can let him shoot that as long as it's contested. And I don't agree with that, so that analytical part, I don't agree. But certain things I do agree with. And so I think you just have to see what part of the analytics makes sense and makes common sense. It's not all about numbers, like that movie, the baseball movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt. That was all numbers. And it's hard to do that and win consistently.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably one of the best perspectives I have on it. You have to have a balance of both. You can't be, like you said, gung-ho on either just rejecting analytics or just, being going all in on it. So I think that's a really good perspective to have. So again, you're not over the hill quite yet when it comes to playing in the NBA, but like right now in this moment, what does post-basketball life look like for you?
Right now, I'm just chilling, man. Playing a lot of golf, working out. But if I get a call, I'm still in shape. I'm still ready to go. So, people, I remember in the G League this past year, they were like, "Oh man, you're 34 years old." I'm like, I'm the same high school class as KD. I know he's a superstar, but he has more mileage. Same high school class as Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook. We're all in the same high school class. So I don't think that I'm just washed up. You know, I can still help out a team. I can still play. But like I said, if I don't, that's okay too. But I'm not 45 years old or 44 years old. So I'm still can help out a team.
Yeah. So, I definitely don't think you're done by any stretch of the imagination. You said you're keeping in shape. You spent time in the G League. You're about to go hoop in the Big Three. What else do you do? You know, since you're not on an NBA roster, so you're not in those kind of practices. What else do you do to keep your body in shape and, you know, make sure your form is intact and everything?
I do a lot of court work, a lot of shooting, a lot of different weight training. You know, not just pressing dumbbells up every day, but stretching, yoga, mobility work, you know, things of that nature. So I try to just keep my body active, because once you sit down for, you know, a long period of time, it's hard to get it back going. So I hope I never do that, because I just want to be, you know, active. I want to stay in shape. Maybe not NBA shape when I'm 50, but I want to stay in some type of shape, you know, always. So that's what I've always done. So that's a little bit what I do.
Mm. So under your belt, you've got 10 plus years in the association. You're well respected across the league. You're extolled as being a consummate pro. I mean, I would think that those are a good starting recipe for a head coach. So do you see coaching in your future?
Could happen. I know I can give back a lot to the game, to you know, younger players. I feel like in the NBA, I've been through pretty much everything. You know, I've been the 15th man on the roster. I've started. I've been the 6th man. I've been out the rotation. I've been traded multiple times. So I think with a younger player, if I were to, you know, be a coach or be a good mentor to them, I can help them through, you know, good times, obviously, and bad times, because I know what it takes to, you know, keep your mind right, stay even keel, and, you know, stay in the league for a while.
Okay, yeah. I mean, me personally, I can definitely see you in a coaching position, you know, in the NBA, in college. You talked about your time in the G League, how you really took a lot of those guys under your wing. You told them what it takes to make it and things of that nature. So I definitely see it. What about in a front office? Maybe as a GM, I believe it is James Jones, who was in Miami with Braun, and I think he's GM of the Suns. Don't quote me on that. I believe he is. Do you see yourself in that type of position in the future?
You never really know. I mean, honestly, I'm sure a lot of people that are GMs or assistant GMs or whatever, they didn't see themselves doing it, but I'm not going to, you know, close that door either. I think I have a lot of good information to pass along. And I think I see the game really well. And so if that opportunity transpired, I mean, I wouldn't turn it down. I think I can be a pretty good GM or scout, you know, whatever the case may be. So I don't think I would turn it down, because it's a good opportunity for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have no doubt anything that you choose to pursue in the future, you know, if this is the end of your NBA career, I know you're going to excel at it. That's actually all I got for you, fam. So, I mean, thank you so much for, you know, chopping it up with me. I appreciate you coming on for real. And I hope to see you balling on the NBA real soon, because I know that you still got juice left in the tank.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good time. Appreciate it.